Welcome to Happy Healthy Living with Yvonne Douglas. I'm Doug, and today we're going to make some delicious Italian rainbow cookies. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about all the supplies and ingredients you're going to need to make these delicious Italian rainbow cookies. First of all, you're going to need a mixer. So I have my KitchenAid mixer here. Just love that. You'll need a couple of bowls, Pam Original Easy Cleanup Spray. You're going to need 1 cup of finely ground sugar, granulated sugar, and you're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 sticks of unsalted butter. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of almond extract, and you're also going to need 8 ounces of almond paste. This is almond paste. You can buy almond paste at probably like Whole Foods, stores like that. You can also get yours off of Amazon, which is where I got mine. You're going to need 4 eggs that are separated. Now, this is an egg separator. If you don't have one, I highly suggest you get one. It makes it so much easier. You're going to need 1/4 a teaspoon of red food coloring and 1/4 a teaspoon of green food coloring. You're going to need 1/4 cup of whole milk and 1.5 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips that we're going to be melting in a bain-marie, and I'll show you that in a second. And you're also going to need around 1/2 cup of raspberry jam. Now, raspberry jam is kind of hard to find, at least in Texas. They always have raspberry preserves. So if you can't find red raspberry jam at a store near you, then purchase it off of Amazon. That's where I got mine. You're also going to need these 3 9x13 quarter sheet pans. So I have 3 of them here. And we're going to be spraying them with that non-stick spray. And also we're going to put parchment paper, which I'm going to show you how to get your parchment paper and line it with these pans. Okay, so welcome back. So what you want to do is you want to get your pan and place it on top of your parchment paper. This is 15 inches by 200 feet parchment paper here. So I got a line right here, and I'm making my lines going around with a pencil just at the base, and remove it, and then you can see your rectangle. Now, instead of doing individuals, what I like to do is just pull a sheet, fold it at that line, and then do it one more time. And actually, well, before I do that, I'm going to snip this part off so I can make sure that I'm flipping it at the exact spot. Line it up. There you go. So I got my 3 sheets. This just goes a little bit faster this way instead of doing it individually. And I'm just going to cut along that line. And it doesn't have to be perfect, of course. And then you can cut out your individual ones. So we're going to do the sides first. Just going to follow that line. Okay. And then we're gonna do the folded edges. Very nicely, and you can see how nicely it fits in the pan. And let me cut this one. Perfect. All right. So then you want to get your Pam spray, and you're going to spray your baking sheets, and then you're going to place the line paper right on top, just like that. All right, and we're gonna do that to all three. Okay, so welcome back. So we're gonna start making our cookies. Now, I just love these cookies. Ever since I was a kid, I remember having these Italian rainbow cookies, and I just loved them. I believe my mom would get them at a Italian bakery or some of her Italian friends, and they would make it around the holiday time. And I just love them. So they're called Italian rainbow cookies, but they're always pretty much made around Christmas time because of the green, red, and white. Now, this recipe I actually got from, oh gosh, this was years and years and years ago at an old school I used to work at. And I think she worked in the cafeteria, and she made it for the staff. And I was like, oh, can I have that recipe? And she gave it to me. So this is, I don't remember her name because it was years and years ago, but they are so good. So let's start making them. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to preheat our oven to 325 degrees. And we already greased our baking pans, baking sheets, and lined them with parchment paper. Now I'm going to use my mixer here. This is the paddle attachment, and I'm going to combine the sugar, which is 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to start with 1 stick of butter. Now your butter really should be kind of like at room temperature, or basically where it has still some form. You don't want it all melty and everything, but so leave it out just a little bit, and we're going to first mix these two, and then we're going to add our almond paste. So we're gonna cream our sugar and butter mixture first. Okay, so it looks like our butter and sugar is very well mixed. I'm gonna add my almond paste now. So this is almond paste. And remember, this is 8 ounces. And I'm just kind of breaking it up a little bit. Now, when you do this, gotta make sure you try your best to get that all smooth, okay? So you want a really nice blend of the butter, sugar, and the almond paste together. Try not to have any lumps of the almond paste the best you can, all right? So we're gonna do this for about a minute or two. Okay, so my almond paste, it looks pretty good. I don't see any lumps of the almond paste. It's pretty smooth. You want to get that as best as you can. Now we're going to add the remaining 2 sticks of butter, and I already kind of cut these up into kind of cubes. Remember, your butter is cold but not super cold. All right. We're going to mix that, and we're going to have to scrape down the sides later on because we want it nicely mixed. Now I have this between a 4, okay, so it has settings. It has 2, 4, 6, 8. It's in increments of 2. This is at a 4. So start out slow and then raise it to a 4. And I can see it's getting nice and smooth, but I need to scrape down the sides. So let me do that. Okay, that looks good. And I'm telling you, the almond paste, it smells so good. I just love the way that smells. So once again, I'm scraping down the sides It is nicely smooth, very well combined. Yeah, very nice. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our egg yolks. Okay, now don't forget you have to separate your eggs. And so let me get this all off here. Get my knife so I can get all this yummy stuff. And not only are these delicious, guys, these are so pretty. These are like really pretty cookies. You want to give them as a gift. All right, or just for yourself. So we're gonna add our egg yolks. So we're gonna gradually add our egg yolks. So I'm gonna kind of do one at a time. This is on low. Well, that was two. Another one. Last one, and my oven is preheated now. Now we're going to add our milk. This is the 1/4 cup of milk. And we're also going to add the 2 teaspoons of almond extract. Here's 1 and 2. All right, we're gonna mix that together. I just love the way the almond smells. So festive, so Christmassy. I'm gonna scrape down the sides. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to add the flour. And we're gonna add the flour gradually. Excuse me. So I'm just getting a spoon and just putting in a little bit at a time. I notice we're slowly mixing it. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to scrape the sides and then continue to add my flour. Okay, I'm going to add the rest of my flour, just a little bit more. And then I'm going to make sure it's mixed really, really well. Notice it's still on low. You want the mixer on low. And that looks good. All right. So we're going to whip up our egg whites until they're nice and fluffy. You want fluffy peaks. So I have it on high. I have some stiff fluffy peaks here. You can see that, look at that. All right, so now what we want to do is fold it into the mixture that we were just working on. So what I want to do is I'm going to get my egg whites and I'm going to fold it in. Just fold it in. How do you fold it? You just fold it in. Every time I hear fold it in, I think of Schitt's Creek when they said to fold in the cheese. So that's why I'm laughing. All right, let me get this off. Gonna add some more egg white. Fold it in. Okay, so there you go. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna separate this into 3 separate bowls, and we're gonna add some food coloring, so stay tuned. I want to evenly place this dough in 3 bowls. I'm gonna start out by doing 2 spoonfuls in each, and then gradually making sure they all have about the same. And then what you want to do is you want to reserve 1 plain. So I think this one I'm going to put off to the side. That's going to be my plain one. And then I want to use these 2 for the colored ones. Now I'm going to be using 1/4 of a teaspoon of red and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of green. So be careful when you do it, because you don't want to overdo it. And then I'm going to do 1/4 of the green one into this one. So I'm just going to stir it in. So let me show you the color of the red. This is the color of the red right now. Now I'm going to do the green, and this is the green one. All right, so they all seemed very well mixed. So I got my plain, or my white, my green, and then my red. Notice there are Christmas colors and also colors of the Italian flag. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to get my dough, and I'm placing it in my greased and parchment paper lined cookie sheets, and have an offset spatula. And what I want to do is just smooth that out. So starting with the plain one, and you just want to make sure that's all smoothed out. So that's what it looks like. All right, so I'm gonna do the red and the green, and then we're gonna bake it. We're baking it at 325, and it's gonna be for around 10 minutes or so. Okay, so I'm taking them out of the oven. There's one. There's 2, they smell so good. And then 3. Yum. Okay, so now what we have to do is let these set, and they have to cool completely. Then we're going to add our red raspberry jam, and then I'm going to show you how to melt chocolate too in a bain-marie, so stay tuned. Okay, so the next step, what we need to do is we're going to get, now these are completely cooled, so you want to make sure that they're completely cooled. And now we have our red raspberry jam. So you want to start off with the green colored one, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a layer of the red raspberry jam. Then we're going to get the white one, or the plain one. We're going to flip it to where it's on top of that jam. We have to make sure the parchment paper is off. And then we're going to add another layer of the jam to the undyed version. And then we're going to top it with the red. All right, so the red will be on top. So basically, once again, I have that offset spatula. I'm just going to get some jam, and I'm going to add a layer on top. You want to spread it out. Want to make sure you get every area. Spread it nicely. Add your jam. And how thick? Well, just a nice thin layer. You don't have to have it too thick, but you definitely want to make sure every area is covered. So I might be using a little bit more. Just have at least 1 jar. I always have extra on hand just in case. But a nice layer of that jam. Now don't use the preserves, like I said. Make sure that you are using red raspberry jam, and if you can't find it on Amazon. That's where I got mine. I remember when my mom, when we moved to Texas when I was a kid, she had such a hard time finding red raspberry jam, and the stores used to tell her there's no call for it. She goes, I'm calling. So there we go. We got our layer. This is good. Like I said, make sure it's nice and even. You need to cover every single area. If you don't cover to the very end, that's okay, because we're going to be chopping that part off anyway. So don't worry about going to the very edge. But you do want a nice layer. Now what we're going to do, now this is the hard part. We're going to get this one, we're going to flip it over, and we're going to definitely, we need to take off that parchment paper. Okay, so now I got my second layer on. Going to add the jam again. We're going to add the red on top. Okay, so now we got the red layer on. If you have a couple of cracks or something, don't worry about it, because the chocolate is going to cover it up. Now what we have to do is we're going to add some handy wrap over it, and then we're going to lay it down. We're going to put another pan on top and press down, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator for at least 4 hours. Get my handy wrap. You want to put it over your cake, or your cookie cake, whatever you want to call it, because these are going to be cookies. And then I have this, another pan, putting it right on top, some heavy plates. It's going to press down, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. Okay, so next what we want to do is make a bain-marie. And that's basically a warm water bath, and we're going to be melting our chocolate. So let's take a look. Okay, so a bain-marie is basically you get a pot that has some water at the base. Make sure that the water is just touching the other part, and we're going to pour our chocolate. This is semi-sweet chocolate, 1.5 cups into here, and then we're going to slowly melt the chocolate. So the bain-marie is basically so you can melt the chocolate slowly. You don't want to burn your chocolate. And you just want to give it a couple of stirs. Okay, so you want to keep stirring your chocolate, and you're going to stir it until there's no more lumps. You want to make sure all those chocolate chips have melted and it's nice and smooth. So just keep stirring it with a spoon, and you want to make sure it's nice and smooth. Okay, so once the chocolate is melted, and you got to let it cool down a bit, and then we're going to get about half of it, and we're just going to spread it on top of the cake. Don't forget, this cake has been in the refrigerator for about 4 hours, and we're just going to spread that over. That's why if you had a couple of little cracks in it, it's okay, because the chocolate's going to cover it. Okay, so this looks good. I'm doing a nice even layer going across and on the sides. Remember, you don't have to go to the very, very edge, because we're going to be cutting those off. But this is what it looks like so far. So I'm going to put it back in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. And so I'm just going to place it right here, and we're going to flip it like that. And then we're going to take the cake off. We gotta do it carefully, and then we're gonna remove the parchment paper. Okay, so you just wanna get your fingers in there, and then it comes off, and then you just wanna remove that parchment paper, and we got the green on top, and then we wanna get the remaining chocolate, and we're going to put it all over this, and we're gonna put it in the refrigerator again for another 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to cut it. So I'm just gonna spread that all over. There you go. So I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for another 30 minutes, and then we'll be ready to cut into little rectangles. Stay tuned. And here they are. I cut them into about 1.5 inches, little squares, and they turned out so pretty, and they are so delicious. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Happy Healthy Living with Yvonne Douglas. Remember, if you want that homey vibe, you need to subscribe. And please give this video a like. Until next time, my friends, happy healthy living. Bye-bye.